It's an important tradition in my family to get together on Christmas Eve every year and celebrate by enjoying a big feast with each other. People from all sides of the family are invited, but before we can all start eating, one of us has to do something called the book. The annual book presentation consists of one family member giving a short, heartfelt speech about his or her past Christmases, followed by a blessing on the food. Then, the presenter adds his or her speech to the book and passes it on to a different family member for next year. However, there was this one year in particular that stood out to me. That year, it was my grandfather's turn with the book. We all sat down at the table as my grandpa got all of his papers situated and prepared himself for his presentation. I'll admit that the more important thing on my mind at that moment was all the food that my uncle had made, fresh out of the kitchen, just waiting to be devoured. But as my grandpa began, I tried to give him my full attention, while my stomach loudly grumbled. He lightened the mood by giving prepared compliments to all of his closest family members, calling people intelligent or good-looking, which was very characteristic of his cheery personality I had always known him by. After the compliments, he finally began telling his Christmas story. He read the opening lines of his paper. My childhood Christmas-time memory is still fresh in my mind today. I can still clearly see our three-room apartment with the big black pot-belly stove, all red from the burning coals, sitting in the middle of the living room. It had to heat all three rooms, which of course it didn't. This opening description of a poor family's home bewildered me. The setting's gloominess didn't seem to match my grandfather's typical happy mood. It hit me that I really didn't know what my own grandfather's childhood was like. He continued by telling me of how he had to go down to the dirty basement several times per day in order to get coal for that poorly functioning stove, always afraid that the boogeyman was going to get him if he didn't run back up the stairs fast enough. The living room, my grandpa went on, which would normally be filled with a few measly pieces of furniture, was a different world during the holidays. However, after listening to the description that he provided of Christmas time in his household, I saw that in reality, it wasn't all that different from any other time of the year. They simply had the addition of a Christmas tree with a few presents, which were actually the same presents they got every year. He listed off the annual gifts that he and his siblings would receive. We would get coloring books and crayons, hardtack Christmas candy, popcorn balls, and candy canes. That was it, but it was always enough. I couldn't help but compare those few inexpensive gifts with a big bundle of presents that he himself had bought for my brothers and I that Christmas. Before even finishing the story, my grandpa's eyes started to glisten with tears, and his voice was stolen by the intense emotions he felt behind this recollection. He slid the book over to my grandmother to finish the speech, but even she was too overcome with emotion to speak, so my grandpa just tried to murmur what was left of it. Choking up, he mumbled, "Christmas today has evolved, from my beautiful coloring books and candy to my beautiful wife, our 4 beautiful children, and our 7 beautiful grandchildren." Through that Christmas Eve story, I realized how far my family had come, and just how great my family story was. I later learned that my grandpa, born into poverty, endured hardships that I had never even heard about, far beyond the small group of them that he mentioned in the speech. My grandfather had to work his way out of that life so that his children and grandchildren could have a better one. Now, whenever I see my grandpa's typed up speech in the book, full of spelling and grammatical errors, it reminds me of the journey that my family has taken, and a story I never knew, a hidden treasure in my family history.